Okay, so I'm actually adding subtitles to my videos, so hopefully if there are any Habesha girls who follow me, you will be able to translate this into Amharic, and I'll try to put some other tools available that automatically translate this into Amharic. But I think it is kind of important and useful to start to have commentary about things that are happening, in the Black community. And so I want to talk about the King Combs song, One More Prayer, and he put out a video with it. Initially I just watched the video and I made a comment on the video. I said, I appreciate that King Combs is expressing himself, and I can only imagine how hard everything must be for him right now. Things are complicated. And then he responded to that with like a, strong emoji. And here's what I want to say. I think that Diddy is involved in some really wild things, but I also think that a lot of the adults around Diddy were also involved in really like raunchy things. So like, I think that some of the anger, and I've said this before, I think some of the anger coming from people like Kanye West right now, where they're like, Diddy should be free, it isn't coming from this place where he thoroughly believes that like everything that went on, and I don't even know, I didn't read the whole Cassie case. I've gotten enough summaries, seen enough quotes of it that it's kind of like, wow, this is wild. That like all of these adults were participating in events that were like not really like not kosher. But then there's other things about like consenting adults and kind of like what they do. So, but at the same time, I don't think that like any of Diddy's children are directly responsible for Diddy's actions as an adult, as a father. Like he had his own life, and yeah, I don't think he was like pulling his kids into this ring. I personally don't think that. But what I do think is that when it was time for legal action, the things that he did in terms of like putting his kids' passports up, I think that was kind of fucked up. Like I think that was a wrong decision. But anyway, so this song is King Combs, like maybe it's part of him grappling with the loss of his mother, which is one thing. And I've seen that family. So I saw King Combs, his sisters, they made a public post that was kind of like someone, I don't know who it was, but put out a book or something that was supposedly detailing the ins and outs of his mother's life, and they put out a public statement that was like, this is really disrespectful, these aren't real letters from our mother. Like I really don't know, right? Like if that is the part of this that they feel passionate about, like respecting their mother's legacy, they have a right to like feel that way. And other people who like purchased that book, they also have a right to feel this way. Like I think that if King Combs really feels like disrespected by these allegations and that book about his mother, he can file a defamation lawsuit to the person who is releasing this book and take legal action. That is like, if he feels that strongly about it, he can do that. In the same way that like, Cassie felt that the things that Diddy did were very wrong, and then, Diddy settled the case. Like everyone has the right to feel their feelings about events that have allegedly taken place or not, and then move forward. My point in this particular scenario, in terms of King Combs putting out a song, right? Because I've been very critical of that family, and the reason that I've done it is because like I really hope that they as a family are a bit more like accountable, because there's a lot of people like looking to them. Like I don't want to be a channel that is shitting on like Black children. That is not my intent. But also it is not my intent. I'm not going to sit around observing what I think is like really bad behavior, especially like unsafe behavior for Black women, when I have seen like the hate and like derogatory manner of music specifically, and its influence on the harm toward Black women. It's like he references like Nate Dogg and a few other Black men in this song, and like I've actually given this example on the channel before, but I will reiterate. I had an experience with a neighbor who explained to me how like in his youth or something, there was one of the rappers, I think it was like Too Short, or one of the other rappers, they were like putting out, like that was his favorite rapper. And I was like listening to some of the songs from the album that he was talking about was his favorite. And every song was like super derogatory toward black women. It's like, hate this bitch, bald headed whore, things like that. And I'm just like, this is your favorite album? Like, you know how you could think anything was great. I don't know. Like, pick the Kendrick Lamar album, like the way I feel about Petals for Honor for like Haley Williams or something. This completely empowering album, and the one that is like shitting on black women, like that's the one that you choose to be your favorite album. I don't know how many ways I told him to like go to hell and I don't like you anymore. Like I just stopped talking to him because it was just like, I'm sorry. Like, and it was really, maybe he felt a certain way as well because he's like, well, that was in high school when I felt that way. And I still felt like, fuck you. Like that is just, that's insulting. That means that you don't like me as a person. I feel like if you like that. Anyway, so then I also replied and I said this, I said, your personal feelings about everything are valid. I think if you choose to be empathetic toward others, you might want to explore that some women are hurt and those women might not be related to you. And I said, this is a really hard stretch because some men view all women as worthless whores who aren't related to them. But if you can extend beyond that frame of thinking, then you can have empathy for both sides. It's hard and not really necessary, but I'm a woman and I can clearly see the pain of other women. And as a man, you might not be able to see that. That's what I said. Now, I do not think that this is a popular like point of view, especially in that community. But let's actually just unpack some of the things that he said, because I thought some of them, like, I think it's really interesting. I think that the fact that he's like vulnerable enough to put out music at this point in time, especially that is about, like, he's actually referring to these situations in the song, and I think it's like worth acknowledging. Like, I have empathy for him because he was vulnerable enough to put this out. It makes me like respect him more as a person. So the song is called One More Prayer. He's like, I know that life isn't fair, but as long as you got breath, just say one more prayer. Look inside yourself and find love right there. Don't shed one more tear. Keep your head high and say one more prayer. Don't shed any more tears. Keep your head to the sky. I want to comment on this for a moment because I think that there's this idea that like black men aren't able to feel their feelings, and really black people in general. It's a part of like the dehumanization strategy. Like, it's not okay to cry. Crying is a sign of weakness or something. Crying is like a very normal part of the lived experience, and if it wasn't, then as a human you would not be able to cry. But given that we are, it's a normal part of life. And especially I think black men should give themselves enough space to cry, because there's kind of a lot to cry about. And one of the main ways that you are able to find the strength, resources, and strategy to overcome the thing that caused you pain is by allowing yourself to soak in that pain. This is why I made the other video that's called like sad girl music. And I think like a lot of people, I feel like we're laughing at us as we like sat in our sad girl era, but we've already felt all the feelings on the feelings wheel. You know, like we cried. We cried big tears. We made revenge songs. You know, we talked about coping strategies and we got through it. And I feel like, honestly, King Combs needs to have that phase for himself. Like, he needs to have an anger phase. He needs to have a sad phase. He needs to have like a revenge phase. Like, all the phases on that feelings wheel, he needs to have them. So starting by saying, don't cry any more tears, hold your head high. Like, who are you saving face for? Is it other black men? Because I think they think that they're saving face when really they're just kind of like showing more dehumanization strategies. It's just like, I don't know. It's not like, I'm not convinced. Like, I don't see, it's not making me look at you as being stronger. It makes me feel like, why do you want to dehumanize yourself? So me, I feel more confused than convinced, I suppose, that you are strong. Anyway, you don't know what I've been through. You couldn't walk a mile in my gym shoes. Well, no one could walk a mile in anyone else's gym shoes, right? Because unless you are wearing stolen shoes, then those shoes were sized to fit your feet. Like, nobody can walk a mile in my Birks either, right? Because I literally replaced the soles 8 times and I've walked like 3 continents in these Birkenstocks. So yeah, nobody can walk a mile in my Birks either. So I would agree with you as well. He's like, there's stress on my mental. So he's talking about how he's stressed out. Good start. Good place for therapy, man. Like, what is it exactly that is stressing you out? Because the reality is, your actions did not lead you behind bars. Someone like his father's actions may have led him there, but his personal actions didn't lead him there. And there's another thing he says later on that's like, I'm going to be blessed because, you know, I'm going to live my best life. He says something like that. And I agree with that. He should definitely do that. That is a very good life strategy. And then he's like, niggas all judge like they're not living sinful. I agree with you there to the max. Like, I do think that there's a real problem in the Black community of people like pointing fingers at everyone else and never pointing them at themselves. One of the reasons I made this channel, this is not only an air my dirty laundry channel, but as a woman, especially as a woman who's got like quite a lot of stalkers, like I will tell you this, like people reiterate, like people cannot wait to keep my name in their mouths. Like they have so much to say. And I cannot respond, and I choose not to respond directly to all those people. So instead, I have a public channel where all haters are welcome. Hateful comments will be replied to in appropriate fashions. Do you feel I'm like, if you have something to say, speak loud and say it with your chest. But at the same time, if King comes, if you know that you are not living sinful, what the fuck, what they have to say doesn't really have much to do with you. But also, if you choose to say nothing, then you live in a society where their narrative is louder and louder and louder, and you have none. So I would say keep using your voice. He said, heard Karma was a bitch and she's trying to spin back. Well, I mean, that's the point of karma. It's kind of like you put a lot of stuff out and then it really does come back. But that's what I mean. I feel like America's also having this come to truth moment. I've already said that before, so we don't have to keep going there. And he's like, I've been thinking about my mom all the time. I hope she knows that I love her to life. She was the best. He's like, I'm so blessed. We haven't seen the road we traveled. You've seen the cars. He's like, money can't buy you love, but it can buy you hate. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Like, I think that money buys you consumer goods. So that's what you can buy with money. He's like, he sees all his brothers doing his things. These are good. I just want to, that's important. He's like, I want to hug my pops and get one more dance. I would say like his father isn't gone. Like he can call his dad almost like every day, I would assume. And he can like write him letters. He can communicate fully with his dad every day right now. Like he's not like on death row. You know what I'm saying? He's not like unreachable. So he can like communicate with him as much as he wants right now. You know, maybe he can't like hang out with him like, you know, he was doing when he wasn't behind bars, but if the goal is to communicate with your parent while they're here and you want to do that, he does have the opportunity to do that. So maybe like whatever is on his chest and is stressing him out, and I think like he might be gaslighting himself. There's no way, like he's a whole human person living in this society, and he's like I think he has this idea in his head because he says it later. He's like, stick by your family no matter what. So, well, if your family is doing things that are really wrong, and in your conscious, because I feel like he has like a pretty solid understanding of ethics and morality. If he understands that his family members are doing something wrong, it's up to him in order to keep his conscience clean. He doesn't have to have a public conversation with us, but he should be having really private conversations with his family members about what the fuck they're doing wrong. Like if you really love someone, you confront them about the shit that they're doing wrong. You don't need to tell us. It isn't for us. It's for you, because you'd want your family members to be better. But if you continue to let them do awful things over and over and over, and you never put up boundaries or barriers to say, stop doing these bad things, stop, and like repent. That's the thing that just really kills me about people using like godly references without the ethical like understanding of what it means. Like, stop talking about God if you're not willing to repent. Repentance is needed here if you're going to go down that path of trying to talk about how like blessed you are and all that shit. Like, just stop. If you're going to like live unethically and ungodly, stop using God as the reference. Shit made me so mad when I saw like Bianca whatever talking about how she was like praying to God or something. Like, where was she when she like had her pussy out on the Grammys like road? She wasn't thinking about God then or every other day. Like, you can't just be godly like when you know you need a quote. That isn't how it works. This is like why I made that video about the Nephilims. It's the entire idea of what it means to be exiled from an exiled angel. We call that like Mephistopheles or the devil, if anyone actually fucking read the book. Like, even though I've read that and I'm like not religious. So, like, the whole point of being literally, if you are a human, you're not an angel anymore. You are a human on earth with a life capacity of about 120 years now, like the rest of us. And okay, we have like a system of ethics and like justice here. So either you like abide by the law or you fucking go to prison. Like, I don't like, that's kind of the system that we have right now. Maybe it will change and improve, but at the same time, if you have this aim to be otherworldly, to actually be godly, you need to behave in that way. So if you're like if your moral compass is off, then why are you talking about being godly? And that is not a direct reference to King Combs, because I haven't seen any behavior that he has personally exhibited that would make him like ungodly. I'm just using that reference because it's so frustrating to see people continuously like use these God references without actually living godly lives. That's very strange to me. He says it's because of the blessings and what they gave me, but I'll give it back just to see my favorite lady. I can't lie, these last 6 years have been driving me crazy. Everyone that's usually around been moving shaky. I really do think that when you lose people in life, it is because they are no longer serving their purpose, or they have served their purpose. There's a Medea quote actually that is really good for explaining that. It was about how some people are like leaves, other people are branches, and other people are like roots. And you need to just figure out who these people are in your life, because sometimes people go because they are meant to go. And it's like you're looking for the foundational roots and support of people who are just leaves in your life, because you do need human connection, but you're not going to find it in flaky people who were never meant to be there and who are not going to serve your personal interest in life anyway. You need to find better people, and there probably are better people in your life. You need to lean on them more and let the flaky people go. Don't do yourself more harm by trying to like hold on to something that was meant to go. I know that life isn't fair, but as long as you have breath. He says, my heart is full of pain. I just let it motivate me. I think one thing that could be interesting, and I will just go back, maybe I'll make like a whole playlist about this, but we have some albums, you know, some ways of coping. I feel like that's what this channel is definitely about, because if anyone wants to talk about being in dark moments, I have dealt with immense anger, and on another channel we will unpack that day by day, because I'm a very good like note taker, receipt keeper, things like that. So if you want to talk about living through some dark times, I have stories for you, and some of them I've shared parts of them on this channel, which you could probably find, but you aren't the only one who's been through some pretty dark times. Like, all people are not very kind on this here earth, and you like have to live with them. And like, everyone goes through good times and bad times. It is literally a part of life. And if you find that right now your heart is full of pain, unpack the pain. Just unpack the pain. Like, what is it that is so painful? Like, identify it and let it out. Like, I see it and cry it out. That's how you live on. Because if you cower in the pain and you hold on to the pain and you repress the pain, not only will you have cancer and fibroids, you will also be very unattractive. And like, the things that are causing you the pain are gonna stay, because you never like really understood what was so painful about them. Some people, for some people, things that are extremely painful for one person are not really extremely painful for others. characters. And I think that that's kind of useful to like unpack. So yeah, I kind of want to say that. But yeah, I wonder, what do you guys think?